questions. I can lay it out for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're dating, if you're talking to a dude who is not where he wants to be professionally, there's one or two possibilities. Either he's mature enough emotionally, spiritually, to understand that adding a woman to this life is actually going to help me reach my goals as I hopefully help her. Or he's going to be stuck in a thought pattern that I've been in, unfortunately, in the past, where, you know what, man, I'm working to be a series regular on a hit TV show, get these books out, get this, and a woman is only going to get in my way. And if he's in that space, ladies, there's nothing you can do. He has to realize on his own. He has to come to that conclusion on his own. Actually, I fibbed. There is something you can do. Dip. There's always something you can do.
Thank you again for joining us for another episode of Sean Henry's Becoming. Today's episode, we have Evan Cleaver, author and actor. His book, I read it. It's a very, very quick read, very interesting, very emotional on so many levels. His book title, How to Make Sure He Will Be Into You. Welcome, Evan, to our show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. So just the title alone, How to Make Sure He Will Be Into You, can say so many things or send so many triggers, but we're gonna dive into that in just a second. We always like to get the background of our guests and know where they're from, you know, their life that led up to their current position in their entrepreneurial journey. So where are you from?
Born and raised in Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, home of the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. And the 2015 World Series winning Kansas City Royals.
Oh, okay. So you go rep for your city like all the way through, right?
No doubt.
Especially when something is like coronavirus is happening, nobody could watch sports right now. Okay.
We'll be the last Super Bowl champs ever.
Ever.
Nah,
Okay.
I hope not. I hope we get back to sports and large crowds once it's safe to do so.
Absolutely. Okay. Do you have any siblings?
I'm the youngest of four. Yep.
Oh, okay. What's the age gap between you and the one right above you?
My sister's 4 years older than me. My brothers are 10 years older than me. My brothers are twins.
Oh, wow. Okay. So did you have a issue finding your voice in your family with four siblings or three other siblings?
No, we had family dinner every night at the table. Everyone was encouraged to talk about their day and the progress they were making in school. We all grew up going to my dad's church. He was a pastor at St. James United Methodist Church in Missouri, and my brother is now the pastor at St. James. So we, lived together and went to church together. So that amount of time uh, lends itself to everyone being able to share what's going on in their lives. And my mother is very good at steering conversations so that everyone gets to speak.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So yeah, my son and I, we had dinner every night as well, and the same thing, conversation. I would say, how was your day, or what did you do today? It usually started with nothing. So I would have to say, okay, I dropped you off at school, then what did you do? So it was a whole process, but we
Right.
got through it. Yeah, but I think it's very important to use our voice, especially as young children, and especially I feel Black males, sometimes their voices get muted, and I think it's very important for us to encourage the conversation. So
Right.
growing up,
I
go ahead.
wonder.
I'm sorry.
I wonder if he would respond to storytelling. Meaning, I wonder, because African Americans come from an oratory background, because we are come from griots and jollies, sometimes we are using a language with each other that isn't ideal and getting the most communication. And I'd be curious to know if that young man, shout out to Ella Baker, Marion Wright Edelman in my training at Freedom Schools. I'd be curious to know if that young African American man, how he would respond if he were prompted by saying, "Tell me a story about what happened today."
Hmm.
That
That
one word, story. And I'm not, he might say the story is nothing, or it may just awaken something in him.
You're listening to Sean Henry's Becoming, a podcast that focuses on the emotional journey of an entrepreneur from the thought of their business to the execution and beyond. I am your host, Sean Henry, a serial entrepreneur, speaker, real estate investor, landlord, 21-year retired Army veteran, and author of When the Bank Says No. I'm sitting down with entrepreneurs to talk about their processes and the lessons they've learned along the way. Fasten your seatbelts. The journey is rough, but rewarding.
I like where you were going with that as far as having a conversation and then seeing if the person would be able to, or we were talking about my son, so see if he would just be able to go into storytelling. But I think that goes for everyone. Is that how you started as an author?
Yes, in a way. I've always been interested in story, and my mom and grandmother would take me to plays. They're both cinephiles, so I think that works well with my brain, how to organize thoughts to put them in the pattern of a story. And when I went to Dillard University, I was a creative writing minor under the direction of Dr. Mona Lisa Saloy there. We actually just had a Dillard alum win the Pulitzer Prize, Jericho Brown. Mm-hmm. So it's a really strong creative writing program, and that's the first time I really began to get some critical, fundamental skills, writing skills.
Okay. So with your family's in ministry, in politics and activism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with everything going on right now with the most recent police killing of George Floyd, are you participating in any of those protests, or how are you allowing your voice to be heard during this time?
Well, I voted. There's an election in Georgia today as we speak. I was an early voter. I think our biggest impact is putting the proper leaders in place for a time such as this. It's the universe poetically speaking to this movement by having the ballot in this current election have sheriff, judge, and county attorney. 3 critical positions when we're looking at police reform, how to build and strengthen the relationship between the Black community and the police, when we're looking at how to make sure the police are protecting and serving us, there needs to be people in place that align with those interests. So studying the candidates for sheriff, for judges, for Fulton County attorney, and going out and voting for the people I felt who closely aligned with my views. I donated some money to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. And it's interesting, maybe somebody listening is like me who thinks I'm going to be a series regular on a hit TV show on network and I'll have billions of dollars. And that's when I'll donate the money. But I had to check myself, and I often have to check in with myself and say, no, if you were going to donate $1 million, then you donate 10 now. Getting money doesn't make somebody generous. It's quite the opposite. If anything, it makes them a miser. So while my donation may not match that of Michael Jordan, I did donate what I could to the NCAA. You can tell I got sports on my mind. NAACP Legal Defense Fund, and today I'm going to donate some money to a political candidate who I'm hoping will affect some change. So, I voted, and I encourage everyone to do just that after they research on what candidate most closely represents their beliefs, because there's no perfect candidate in politics, but there is someone who represents our beliefs better than the other candidates. There's someone who most closely aligns with the voter, and so that's the biggest move I made, donating what I can, where I can, and I did go to a protest. However, coronavirus is still real, and I think racism has done more damage than coronavirus, so I'm with those protesters, and I believe it's a righteous move. As for me, one protest to show strength and solidarity was another positive way that I made sure my voice was heard in this movement.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you when you say donate. I don't think it matters how much you donate. I think every little bit counts, just like every one vote counts. If all you have is $1 and you want to donate, I think that says something as well, because that's one more dollar than the campaign or the cause had prior to your donation. So whether it's $1 or $1 million, I believe your voice is heard in those forums. Were there any hobbies or interests that led you to acting? You mentioned that a minute ago, as well as becoming an author.
My grandmother was a theater major. My grandmother, Betty Lou Donaldson, majored in theater, and she was a theater teacher. My mother loves movies, and probably watching 2 a night. So I grew up loving Sidney Poitier, Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep, Angela Bassett, some of the greats, and I believe I have and had a knack for it. So the actor's life picked me, and I picked it. And from there, it was about going out to get some serious training. So I did just that, a BA in acting at Dillard, and I got my Master's of Fine Arts, my MFA in acting at Cal Arts, and Shakespeare intensives and workshops, and continuing to learn craft. So that's what drew me in. My goal was to be the starting point guard for the Lakers, retire, and do movies. It didn't quite work out that way. But I'm still working on the movie part.
Okay. So Kansas City boy wants to play for the Lakers?
Kansas City lost the Kings when I was 4 years old, so I don't even remember the Kings being in KC. I grew up being a huge Magic Johnson fan, Lakers, Showtime. So I rock with the Chiefs and Royals and Sporting KC, but since we didn't have a basketball team, I picked up the Lakers.
Okay. And so what was your first acting role, or did you start in plays, or was it school talent shows or musicals? Yes. Or how did that start?
Christmas programs at St. James. Um, that's a performance, although not full productions. And then the youth group at St. James did a play called Rising Star, Falling Star with my friend Kristen May. We both wrote the play and performed the play. So it was the youth group, um, you know, production of a full-length play that we did. And I think that was when the light switch flipped. And pun intended, because during the show, somebody's accidentally turned the lights off.
Oh, wow.
And it was during a romantic scene on the couch, romantic for teenagers, flirting.
They did that on purpose.
Well, perhaps.
They're like, enough of that.
Yeah, the universe did it on purpose, because as soon as it happened, without hesitation, I said, "Girl, what's wrong with your lights?" And everybody in the audience laughed. And I think that's when I knew I had a knack for it, a skill for it. It wasn't just something that I loved to do. I knew I actually had a natural ability in town with it. So theater is where I started up from, and I've stuck to it because I think that's where the craft, skill, technique is honed. I've played Hero, and that's literally the character's name, Hero. Father Comes Home from the Wars by Susan Laurie Parks. That's probably my favorite role thus far here in Atlanta. At a theater called Actors Express. I've worked at Horizon, Alliance, Theater Emory, done quite a bit of Shakespeare, and Benedict and Much Ado About Nothing would be a close second for my favorite role thus far. So it's been the majority of my acting experience has been on stage. I'm looking forward to doing more film and TV. I've done some, and coming for more.
Okay. And so stage is where you're most comfortable for right now?
No, I think I'm comfortable on set and in front of a camera just as much as I am on stage. I do have more experience on stage, so I would say I'm more confident there.
Okay.
But the comfort level has never been a factor. But just like anything else, Malcolm Gladwell talks about 10,000 hours to be an expert on anything. I have 10,000 hours of stage experience, more. I don't have 10,000 hours on set quite yet, but I'm getting there. But I've been in scenes with people I look up to and admire, and I was always comfortable. But I've noticed even in the last job I did, The Baker and the Beauty, I noticed I was more confident on set in what I was doing, playing and ripping. So the skill are easily transferable. I heard Kenny Leon say once that if you take a theater actor, I can teach him to be the lead in a movie in 6 days. If you take somebody who's only done film and TV, I can teach them to be the lead in a play in 6 months. I need 6 months.
Wow.
And so I think that's coming from a Tony Award-winning director. So I think that's how easily it is transferable when you have the skills in theater to learn what's going on in film and TV.
And The Baker and the Beauty, is that on Netflix right now?
It's on ABC. They
ABC.
just finished. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So definitely people, ABC has an app. So they need to look out for Evan Cleaver in The Baker and the Beauty. See what he's talking about. Go ahead.
Episode.
Go ahead.
The very first episode I was on there.
Okay. Hey, we gotta start. Oh, so it's a series.
It's a series. I think they have 8 or 9 episodes in the first season. Really necessary show. It centers around a Hispanic family, and I just don't think there's enough work like that on TV. So I'm hoping they get picked up for season 2. And it seems like they did really well with the ratings for the season finale. So I'm hoping we'll see them back.
and also have you back as well. So yeah, I saw a documentary on the Netflix series The Heist, and they did an entire season um with not very good reviews, or excuse me, they had good reviews, but it wasn't as big as it is now. um so they were not even expecting a second season. And then once Netflix picked it up, uh it became just worldwide known, and so they started their second. That's how they got the second season. So hopefully the Baker and the Beauty does the same thing, but as of now everybody can watch it on ABC. So there is an app, so definitely look for that, Baker and the Beauty. um
Yeah.
and yeah, representation means a lot in the brown and black community. So that's, we need to see ourselves on screen. We have lots and lots of talent, so we definitely need to see ourselves on screen, so that we are inspired.
Right. And they were positive, small business owners, a really connected, supporting family. And there's some laughs in there. So it's something that I hope the audience as well as ABC decides they want to see more of, because it's needed.
Absolutely. What was your role?
I saw the beauty. There's this character who's essentially Rihanna in the world of the TV show, and I saw her defacing some property, so I took pictures of it. And there's a guy that comes by who wants to get those pictures and figure out what's going on. So,
So you're essentially the paparazzi or snitch.
no, I'm an observer.
Observer. Okay, that just happened to have his phone out to take the pictures. Okay.
There was a bunch of people out there, because they were on the side of a building, a
Okay.
tall building. So yeah, I would just happen to be walking by.
Okay. Well, everybody is necessary. So how did you transition from, or you're still acting? Let's talk about, how has this worldwide pandemic, the coronavirus that we're still dealing with, COVID-19, how has that affected your acting as of now, as far as job roles or auditions, things of that nature? Because I just saw a Kroger commercial, I believe, and it's definitely recent because they have masks on. So has this pandemic affected any auditions or jobs that you had as an actor?
Yes, it's done that for everybody in the business. It's shut it down. The film and TV industry is essentially shut down right now. They're hoping to resume perhaps later next month, once the proper protocols for safety are in place. But it's been shut down. I had one audition for a commercial where they're going to patch everybody's part in remotely, and that's that, as well as had an audition for Tyler Perry show, because he has the perfect setup to get back safely. He's got an army base where he can test people and keep them in quarantine. So I think he'll be back July 8th. So I auditioned for that. But 2 auditions in 4 or 5 months is certainly not what I was accustomed to. It would be 2 or 3 auditions in a week. So it's everybody's dealing with it. The film and TV industry will bounce back. And so I've been taking this time to do some writing. I've written 2 screenplays, The Christmas Soldier and A Tropical Christmas. Both are Christmas rom-coms, spec scripts that I hope will be picked up after I pitch.
Mm.
So stay active and stay productive during this time. I'm
So
proud that I did two screenplays in this down period.
So can you describe, so how is that the natural flow from acting to writing, or no?
Well, I think no, I think writing is a different skill, but I do think that, um, you know, being in the entrepreneurial spirit, I have realized older I get, the longer I'm in this business, that content creation is the way to go.
Okay.
Waiting for phone calls is not the biz. That is not. Nobody is sitting out there in the world right now going, you know what? I got to get Evan Cleaver some work. I have to do that, and so if I'm not as far as long as I want to be, my goal is to create the content, create the work for myself. So both of the Christmas rom-coms that I wrote, they're written with the intention of having me in the leading roles. So that's just, obviously it's been a tragic time in our country with so many lives lost to coronavirus. The best I could do is attempt to have a silver lining and do something that I would never have the time to do, which is write 2 movies with me as the male lead in it, so that I could say something positive came from this time. And my hope, wish, and prayer is that they get picked up and come to a TV screen near you.
Absolutely. That sounds like the same thing that Kevin Hart said. It wasn't in, it was actually the same line. He said, people aren't waiting to call him to give him work when he first started. So he had to create the content. Same as Keenan Ivory Wayans said the same thing, is let me create the content, like you just said, to where I'm starring and I'm writing what it is that I want to see or what people want to see. Tyler Perry said the same thing on Black AF. I don't know if you've seen that on Netflix, but he said the same thing. You have to create what it is that you want to see. So, and then, like you said, advertise and let people know, hey, it's here. This is what people want to see. This is what we're doing. So you have to create your work. Hi, this is Shawn Henry from ShunHenry'sBecoming. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple, Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no listenership. It's everything you need to make in a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And so you've been acting for the past 20 years and creatively writing for that long as well, or yeah, you said you did the youth play.
Yep.
Okay. And so when did you transition to becoming an author of How to Make Sure He Will Be Into You, which can be found on Amazon right now?
Yes, it is on Amazon. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the title earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how did you come up with that?
Yeah, it's meant to be provocative. So the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yes.
Which I read after much delay, because I thought I don't want to win friends and influence people.
Right. I want it to come naturally.
Right. And then I kept, at a time where I was reading a lot of self-help books, I would Google best self-help books, and that kept popping up. And I thought, okay, it wore me down, see it 7 times. And so I finally read it, and light bulb, the title is meant to be ironic. It's actually the opposite. It's not how to win friends and influence people. It's how to give and be generous. The title is meant to grab attention and reel people in, and my title is meant to do the same, and it works.
It does. It really does. It's almost a trigger. It's definitely a trigger for me. It was. I'm like, because there's a movie. He's not that into you. Okay, so I see your title. The cover of the book has a beautiful girl with multicolored hair. So, it's like, okay, the cover, they always say don't judge a book by its cover, but we all do. And the cover, it's like, okay, this is going to be soft and serene. But then the title, How to Make Sure He Will Be Into You. As a single woman, I'm like, what? Like, am I not enough? I'm enough, already. So, but it is catchy, like you said, and it does lure you in. And I think not just for women, although the book is, again, it looks like for women, to make a guy interested in her. I feel like men could read it as well to see if you're on point. Let's fact check a little bit. Because in your book, you have some really, I would say, listen, my eyebrows were raised a whole lot reading this book. I'm like, what? But then I'm like, okay, let me check and see if I'm actually doing these things. So your title came from, your influence. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to go back to, first I need to acknowledge my friend, my homeboy, my teammate, my two-guard, Alfredo J. Odd, who did the cover, which catches everybody's eye.
It does.
He's an amazing artist. And the title is meant to make people go, meant to make you do because there's so much content in the world. And it has to be something that evokes a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And it does. And so many women, 9 out of 10, 90% of the women that I hear back from go, oh, I got to get that. But there are the 10% who go, how dare you? How dare you? How to make sure he will be into you. I'm into myself. And and I get that. And that's why I titled it. And when they do that, I say, have you read my book?
Mm-hmm.
Have you read my book? It is the same as How to Win Friends and Influence People. You read one page of that book, and you will understand that's not what he's talking about.
Mm.
My book is actually about finding the best dating version of yourself. And I say this in the intro. Lou Palter said to me before I went to an audition, he said, be yourself. And I looked at him curiously, like, how could I not be myself? It was just a look. And he picked up on my look and he said, the interesting one. I do not want to change any beautiful, bold, smart, talented, driven women. What my book does is simply lay out finding the best version of oneself. And I'm glad you said what you said about men reading it, because I've had men read it too and say, this is an interesting, fun read. So the title is provocative on purpose. I promise I'm not like some other books that I won't name where I'm saying, you got to do this and you have to do that and you need to do this and this is why you single. No, what I do is lay out options and thoughts and give women the lay of the land in terms of what men are thinking based on what a woman wants to do. And I hope what I'm doing is putting them in a position of power with chapters like How to Bench a Player, with helping them eliminate some of the stuff that men take advantage of that women do, that I happen to know that men take advantage of those behaviors. And so that the book is meant to flip the title on its head. And I have to say, I know you probably want to jump in. You said you had other questions. I have to say, so for everybody listening to understand this, I heard of He's Just Not That Into You. And I thought it wasn't fair. I thought it was sexist for the marketplace to have a book, subsequently a film, called He's Just Not That Into You, without a book being called She's Just Not That Into You.
Absolutely.
Especially when men traditionally are in the position of pursuit. So I said, that's not right. Let me write the book I want to read. We talked about Issa Rae, Kevin Hart. Let me write the book I want to read, because I want to read She's Just Not That Into You. So that when I go to the coffee shop, when I go on these dating apps, I know what to look for. So I'm not wasting my time, and more importantly, hers. So I went out, I interviewed hundreds of women. It was 6 degrees of separation. I would interview one woman. I'd say, do you have any friends that you'd be willing to talk to me? She'd say, you need to talk to my homegirl such and such. I interviewed them all in anonymity. I asked them, what are the signs and signals that it got? So I had all this information. I wrote the book. I presented the book to literary agents and publishers, and they all told me, men don't read relationship books. Women do. And I thought, you're wrong. Men, perhaps that was the Don Draper days. But now I think men would be more willing to read a relationship book. But that does not change the fact that the system in place pushed back. I had a book, and for anybody listening, don't even try it. I have a copyright. I had a book called She's Just Not That Into You, where I got all this information from women. I put it in a book in what I hope is a fast, fun, creative way. So, like, hey, man, I talked to women. Here's what I learned. One literary agent, I saved the email, said to me, when men want to know what's going on in a relationship or they're upset, they get drunk, they pee in the yard, and they go to sleep.
Wow.
Nobody was trying to hear, and this is men and women, nobody was trying to hear me pitch this book called She's Just Not That Into You. The most common refrain I heard, and I get it, they said, men don't read relationship books, women do. So I said, okay, fine. I'm not going to waste all this research. I'm going to write a book for women then, since you are telling me that women read relationship books, not men. But what the industry doesn't know is it's a Trojan horse. I want this book, How to Make Sure He Will Be Into You, to break into the vernacular, into the stratosphere, into everyday common language, so it's part of the zeitgeist. And then once it's reached its zenith, boom, I'm coming right in with She's Just Not That Into You. So this book is meant to let the industry, so because you can't deny me if I can tell you I sold 2 million copies.
Absolutely.
So if I say, hey, I sold 2 million copies of How to Make Sure He Will Be Into You, you know what my next book is? It's called She's Just Not That Into You. Now they're going to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're willing to publish and print and represent, literary agents are willing to represent me when I can tell them I have a successful product. Because I'm not, and that's part of what we're seeing on this ground movement right now, although it's a movement for race, we need to see, and we are seeing some of the same movement for sex. But I'm not in the position of power to say what gets made and what doesn't. What I did was, what so many actors and creatives and writers have done before me, which is, okay, this is what you want me to do to get into your industry. I'll do it. But once I'm in, I'm going to do what I want to do. So I took all the research that I had, and then I had to flip it on its head and say, okay, all these women told me all this personal stuff about relationships and men and dating and what they want to know and what makes them upset about men and what they love about what men do and what are they curious about, where are they getting stuck in relationships. I took all that information. I said, bet I'm going to use that to write a book for women. I'll call it How to Make Sure He Will Be Into You. I went to men. I got triangulation. I asked men, hey, because I didn't want it to be a book about dating me, because most of That's not going to sell 2 billion copies. That may sell 2. So
I think it may sell a few more than 2.
20.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay, modesty.
I got triangulation from men, and boom, that's how the book came about. So I challenge any woman. First of all, a lot of women, I have to acknowledge, as I did, like the title. They love the title. It draws them in. But I have to say that for those women whose feathers are ruffled a little bit by the title, just read the first 3 pages, and I guarantee you I'm gonna change your mind. Just like How to Win Friends and Influence People changed my mind in the first 3 pages.
Absolutely. In the first chapter, boxes are for squares. I love how you talk about basically getting out of the box and creating a triangle. You said ancient Egyptians knew that boxes wouldn't lead to success. For them, squares represented failure because they led nowhere. So I thought that was very, very interesting. We always hear the phrase think outside of the box. So for you to present a completely different shape, and then again referring the Egyptians, and which, everybody has always been fascinated with the pyramids and things like that, and how you now put it into an aspect of relationships. I thought that was very, very genius as far as at the beginning of the book. Can you tell us a little bit how you just came to that conclusion?
Well, the history of Egyptians is so fascinating. I can't wait to see the pyramids in person, but that's true. That's why they created pyramids. They pointed up towards the sky. And I don't just encourage women and men to think outside of the box. I say get rid of the box completely. Build a pyramid with what is most important to you being at the base of the pyramid. And because that's the foundation of a relationship. And then I put an actual pyramid in the book so women could fill it in. I want the book to be interactive. So if faith is important, put that at the base of the pyramid. I want a man that has similar faith. If exercise is important, put that towards the middle of the pyramid. If liking the Chiefs like I like him is important, okay, put that at the top. That shouldn't be that's not as important. So build a pyramid of what we want in relationships, as opposed to this box of, I want him to earn X or her to earn X amount of dollars. No, I want them to be passionate about what they're doing. That's where the whole idea of boxes are for squares comes from. I just want people to broaden their scope of what it is they're looking for, because love may come in a different package.
Yeah. So essentially, you're saying create your list, but in a different way.
Right. And I'm saying create your priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Decide where you can bend and decide where you can break, and fill the pyramid out based on that. That's why I started by saying, faith and family, stuff like that. I have that at the base of the pyramid, but I don't, I think and I've interviewed so many women who get stuck on, a certain figure or, these aspects that limit them, that bog them down, as opposed to saying, I'm looking for a man who's passionate about what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that may not be lawyer or a doctor, he's skilled at what he does and he's passionate about it. So I think I just wanted to restructure, and I know some women already think like that, but for those who didn't, or don't, I just wanted to offer an opportunity for them to restructure their thinking. I say play chess, not checklist.
To you're somewhat of the ideal guy that a woman, a successful woman, or actually any woman would pretty much want. You're attractive, you are articulate, you're clear in your thoughts. Clearly you can write, you know exactly where it is that you want to go, and you're able to help a woman along in her journey while she's helping you as well. You, in your book, you say, first in general, first, it generally takes men longer to decide if we're relationship ready. Also, sometimes men genuinely want to feel more confident in their jobs, finances, or living situations before they settle down.
Mhm.
So when a man is in that headspace, whether it's he doesn't have all of those in order at that time. Maybe his job, he's in, like right now, okay, the COVID-19 has got a lot of people out of work or in between or whatever. So if he's not working, then his finances are a little crazy, possibly. And then maybe the living situation or whatever before he decides to settle down. I'm on dating sites and I see this and I feel, and I agree with what it is that you've said. And I feel like, okay, if you don't have a job or your finances are crazy or your living situation is crazy, tell me why it is you're trying to date.
Right.
So within your book, I'm like, okay, this makes sense. And in this paragraph, it spells out he needs to have, these things aligned before he feels confident within himself in order to settle down with a woman. So what do you say to women when we meet this man who is still searching for love or companionship, because that's what I was told. Well, even though I don't have all of these things in order, I still want companionship.
Mhm.
But then you have the frustrations when you are unable to take me on a date or unable to pay a bill or unable to, you have, your mind is convoluted with all of these worries or questions. So what is a woman supposed to do when dealing with this type of man?
Well, I would say get my book, which is available on Amazon. I would say read in chapter 2. There's a section called Francine Stein.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 2 parts. I would say a woman needs to trust her intuition and intellect to how emotionally intelligent that man is. How mature is he? Because a mature man who's had some experiences will understand that the right woman will actually elevate him. Whereas an immature, unemotionally intelligent man will think a woman is only going to get in the way of his goals.
Mm.
So I can't be there for the ladies to make that decision, but the great news is they don't need me to be. Deep down, they know which one this brother is. Right. I can lay it out for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're dating, if you're talking to a dude who is not where he wants to be professionally, there's 1 or 2 possibilities. Either he's mature enough emotionally, spiritually, to understand that adding a woman to this life is actually going to help me reach my goals as I hopefully help her. Or he's going to be stuck in a thought pattern that I've been in, unfortunately, in the past, where, you know what, man, I'm working to be a series regular on a hit TV show, get these books out, get this, and a woman is only going to get in my way. And if he's in that space, ladies, there's nothing you can do. He has to realize on his own. He has to come to that conclusion on his own. Actually, I fib. There is something you can do. Dip. There's always something you can do. I need to make sure that is clear.
Very clear.
There's always something you can do. And if he's on the ladder, if he's in that second headspace, there is something you can do. Leave him alone. Mm-hmm. As hard as it may be, as fine as he may be, or whatever the case, whatever's drawn, as smooth and poetic as his speech is, leave him alone. Because you will not be able to get him. He has to, in his own time, come to that maturity and that realization.
I love that. I've always pondered, and gone back and forth with myself. Like, did I miss? I've been married twice, and engaged in between that, and I'm like, did I miss the opportunity, to be with whom I'm supposed to be with? You hear a lot of older people who've been married for several years. Like your parents, how long have they been married?
50 years.
50 years. Okay. I would love to get to that.
Right.
So I like when you said everything we're looking for in life is looking for us.
Yeah. Yeah. That comes from my mom. Diane Cleaver always says that everything we're looking for in life is looking for us.
Mm.
And I firmly believe that if somebody is looking to start their own business as a plumber, the universe is looking for ways to help make that happen. If somebody is looking for love and companionship, the universe is out there looking for ways to make that happen. But we have to be intentional and focused on what we're looking for so that the universe can help us. If the guy is looking to start his own business as a plumber and he doesn't sit down and write out a budget, the universe isn't as willing to help. But the way Angela Bassett puts it goes hand in hand with the way my mom puts it. Decide what you want to be and the universe will get out of your way. Decide, and for the purposes of this conversation, decide, you're going to be a great husband or great wife, a great father, a great mother. Decide what you're going to be and the universe will get out of your way.
Yeah. So you say in dating guide number 11, don't waste time leaping for a man who doesn't have faith in himself. With your statement in your book, don't waste time leaping for a man who doesn't have faith in himself. It kind of helped confirm, no, let him get his life together. It confirmed that for me. Let him get his life together. You'll be fine. He's not the one.
Right.
And is that what you're trying to, or what you are conveying in that?
Exactly. It's a play on words because there's a lot of women that have faith in themselves, spiritual faith. And I'm simply stating that it's beautiful to have that faith, but don't let the faith make you foolish. Don't be so optimistic that you think, oh no, it's gonna work out. Well, no, it's not, because he has to make those changes himself. And in a lot of cases, maybe, it never happens.
Okay. I almost feel like this book was written for me. I feel like your book could have easily been written by a woman. I wanted to write a book several years ago of dating in Atlanta. And I feel a woman who has met every last man that you have described. Okay. If I would have written this book, or a woman would have written this book, I feel like she would have been deemed bitter, on her high horse with standards too high. A woman who doesn't want a man, who doesn't want to give a man a chance or even be patient with him. So why do you think the tone of your book, coming from a male's perspective, is received as the dating guide for women?
I'm glad you said you feel like I wrote it for you, because I did.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's a great question. The best advice that I can get about women comes from women. If I want to know, hey, a woman just did XYZ on the day, what does that mean? I need to go ask my sister or some of my female friends. If I go to the barbershop and say, hey, a woman just did this on the day, oh man, that means she wants you to smack her booty or whatever. They don't know.
Right.
they don't know they're men. How would they know what's going on in the mind of they gonna get me smacked, right? Because I'm getting a point of view from someone who doesn't. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. And one of the best ways that I could improve myself and prepare for my book was by reading what other people had to say. And that was one of my favorite books, if not my favorite book I read on relationships. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. So my point is this. Why a man? Because, and listen, I'm not Albert Einstein or Imhotep or anybody else, but I am a man. I've been a man my whole life. I've been around men my whole life. So I know what men are thinking along every step. I know what certain behaviors mean because those are my behaviors. Because I've been in those locker rooms. I've been in those barbershops. And so I think it's prudent for women to get relationship advice or thoughts or guidance from men. If you're dealing with a man, if you're dating a man or you're single and you're looking to date men, I think it's best to go ask men the best way to proceed. And I just have to be crystal clear. It is the exact same for men. Fellas, if you're out there listening to this, you want to know what a woman's thinking, feeling, what her behavior means, go ask a woman. Don't come ask me. I may have, some little tidbits that I picked up from here and there that I learned from women to share with you. But the best way to learn what the opposite sex is thinking, feeling, and doing, and how to interpret it and what it means, and most importantly, what actions and moves you need to take in order to get a desired result, I think it's best to go ask someone of the opposite sex. And so I think for women, the book comes from the perspective of a man, and I make no qualms about that. I'm not shy or bashful about that because I think for both sexes, it's best to get those types of thoughts from someone who is experiencing those feelings.
Oh, okay, like one of my things is I always say, I just want you to be honest with me. Just be honest. And men always say, oh no, no. A woman does not want you to be honest. She does not want you to tell her the truth. Then she's going to jump out the window. She's going to go in. So I always propose this. Okay, just try it with me. Be honest, regardless to if you think it's going to hurt my feelings or whatever the case may be. If I get extra emotional, and whatever you think I'm going to get, and I react the way that you think I'm going to react, then you can right there in that moment say, see, this is why I wanted to sugarcoat the truth. Mm-hmm. However, if I don't, then this will start the behavior of us, or continue the behavior of us being blatantly honest. And I feel like when you do that, it allows walls to start to come down. And then a man doesn't feel like he has to protect himself from what he thinks your behavior is going to be based off of previous relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think it takes a mature, experienced man, to be honest, because it really does sift through what both people are looking for and what they expect. It culturally, we're kind of suppressed into believing that honesty will make us seem barbaric, when in fact it's the most polite and kind way to proceed in relationships, and saying exactly what we want and don't want, as long as it's packaged politely.
Absolutely. Listen, again, Evan, like I said, you have dropped so many jewels in your book. We can go on and on. One thing I do want to touch on is online. Yes, Rosario Dawson in your online dating. Okay. So ladies, if you are online dating, I have done so many different sites. Evan has a chapter in his book based on online dating. If you want to get your profile together, your pictures, he dives all into that. And it's in chapter 4, how to harmonize a Tinder match among plenty of fish. So if you are familiar with the dating sites, that chapter title is a play on the different uh, dating websites. So, Evan, how you dissected a woman's complete uh, bio, from her bio to her picture, everything on how she puts her dating site or dating profile together. And you mentioned Rosario Dawson. So, can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I hope I think she may be in a relationship right now, so I hope he doesn't come looking for me. But I do think that for my money, she has an ideal social media presence because she is a stunningly gorgeous woman, exquisitely talented, and most of her posts are not about herself. They're about the causes she's into, the reason she's out, what she's out fighting for, what she believes in. And so I just highlighted her because I think that's a nice role model for some women who are starting a TikTok or Instagram or have one. I think she's a good person to look at because her social media isn't about her. It's about what she thinks and what she feels, what she believes in. It's not about her. And which, ironically, because life isn't sentimental, it's ironic, makes me want to know more about her. So I think, a lot of women and men could learn from the way she conducts herself on social media. I think she's the bee's knees. Now, I could meet her in person and find out she hits old ladies in the knee with a hammer, and I'd be thoroughly disappointed. But I've never met her from Adam, so I have to say that. I don't know her from Adam, but from what I see online, I think her online presence is pristine. And the chapter, How to Harmonize a Tender Match Among Plenty of Fish, talks about social media. It also talks about how to set up, whether it's Bumble, Tinder, Hinge, Plenty of Fish, Christian Mingle, FarmersOnly.com, whatever you got. First of all, you've read it, I encourage women to do that, to set up those not all of them, but one or two. I encourage women to give those a whirl, and my book lays out the 6-picture progression, I call it, and it lays out how to write a bio, spelled RIGHT, how to write a bio, and the women who I have heard back from tell me that it may not improve quantity, but it improves quality of their matches, and that's all I wanted.
Yeah, I think it is quality over quantity, because if that's the case, you could do everything that you were saying Rosario doesn't do.
Right.
A bunch of the back shots and things like that. Um, so what influenced that chapter?
My online dating.
Okay.
Me going through these sites, seeing what I see, talking to men who go through these dating apps, what they noticed, what they saw, and how they reacted to it. So I studied them and I researched them, and I realized, the women who are on it are not getting the most they can out of that profile. There's some good options out there, but it's just simple stuff like having too many other women in the pictures. Simple stuff like saying, not here for a hookup. Do not want to hook up. If you're looking for a hookup, swipe left. Well, that's cool. I get that. But why start on a negative? Why define what you don't want? Tell me what you do want. I wish the women listening to this right now could sit next to me at a coffee shop and go through a dating app so they can see what I see. 7 out of 10 of them, not hookup. I'm not here for hookup. Hookup, swipe. Okay, so first of all, now you've unintentionally become a cliche. You unintentionally become the standard or the norm. And all I would suggest is just flip that into a positive. Don't tell me what you don't want, because here's the thing. If you say I'm not looking for a hookup, you still haven't told Idris Elba or Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio what you are looking for, because there's a whole lot of wiggle room in between not hookup and relationship.
Yes.
So if you say I'm not looking for a hookup, oh, okay, you're looking for friends with benefits. And see, these women, God bless them, I love them, and I hope it's reciprocated through this book. They never stop to think about that. So it says, if you're not looking for a hookup, swipe left. Well, guess what? And I'm not proud of it. I'm not bragging. I'm complaining. A man will look at that and say, oh, she's looking for friends with benefits. Because guess what? That's not a hookup. A hookup, when most people think of that, they think of one night stand. So if it says I'm not looking for a hookup, a man will still swipe right, going, okay, so she's looking for more of a friends with benefits type of deal. Mm-hmm. You feel me? But you can eliminate that, ladies, very quickly by defining what you do want. Mm-hmm. Because then he can't get it twisted. And I talk about in the book saying it in, don't, I would not say I'm here for a relationship, because I think there's just a more fun, light way to put that. I give some examples like of bios, God, travel, coffee. Outspoken architect, proud auntie, what's your favorite book? That's a bio that will start a conversation that will get you off into, a more in-depth conversation. So I give these in the book, and I'll share them now. I'm the date and build type, not the Netflix and chill type. Now that is a bio that tells me what you want. I'm the date and build type, not the Netflix and chill type. Career-oriented, relationship-minded. Who knows? Maybe you and me could be us. Interested in long-term happiness, not short-term satisfaction. Looking forward to meeting someone who can whisk me away from this app. Those examples that I provide in the book, which is available on Amazon, tell whoever sees it what you want. Tells me what you're doing on the app. So that is going to save women a lot of time and energy by defining what you do want. And hopefully, if they have an ounce of integrity, only the men who are interested in those will swipe right. Oh, this is a woman, she said, I'm looking for the build, only I hope, and I can't control all men, that they would see that and go, okay, I'm the date and build type, not the Netflix and chill type. Okay, I'm swiping right on her because that's what I'm interested in. Or, nah, I'm interested in more of a friends with benefits type thing. I'm swiping left. So it saves some time and some energy.
When the bank says no, Airbnb hosting without owning the property. Read how one woman took a bank's rejection for financing and turned it into a lucrative Airbnb business without owning the property. Shawn shares her step-by-step process from picking her niche market to furniture purchases, all which led her to achieving superhost status in her first 30 days of hosting with Airbnb. Learn how she made almost $20,000 in less than 7 months while still maintaining her full-time job. New hosts are often unsure of what they need to do, making Airbnb harder than it has to be. Follow her story of determination and perseverance and learn how you can implement her practices in any of your entrepreneurial endeavors. Go to www.ShunHenry.com. That's www.ShunHenry to order your copy of When the Bank Says No, Airbnb hosting without owning the property. So in this segment, we talk about avoiding a burnout. So as a working actor, a writer, author, what is the most rewarding part of being an entrepreneur?
People telling me that I helped them.
Mm.
The messages I get from women who are strangers who say, I read your book and now I'm confident that I can get back in the dating world and find love. I got a beautiful message from a woman who I've never met before in my life. And that makes it, the 300 hours of rewrites worth it. And it's great to hear from friends and family too. They have an inherent bias. I love when strangers, women I've never met, tell me how much the book helped, because that's all I wanted, to bring society closer to love. And that pumps me up. It keeps me going. It makes me want to create more.
And what's one of the challenging parts?
I think it can be tough to maintain optimism, but I'm relentless in my optimism, in my faith. It helps. Prayer helps. Support from family and friends helps. However, it can be challenging to go on 75 auditions in a row and not get a part. It can be a challenge to spend 3 years writing a book and have literary agents and publishers tell you, no thanks, we're not interested in that book. That can be disheartening. To write a book like How to Make Sure He Will Be Into You and have the people who I wanted most to connect with, to have a conversation with. The book was meant to be a conversation with women, and to have some of those same women say, "Oh, how dare you?" That's a bit challenging to get. Feel like my voice is being heard and understood, and and that's why I invite them. Just read the first 3 pages, and you'll go, "Oh, I see. The title's meant to be ironic." Those are my my challenges to keep the faith that this book can sell 2 million copies if I stick with it and I stay active. But there are moments when I'm fighting to sell 1 copy, and it can get dark. But I find my way back to the light.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. So what is it that you do in those stagnant phases, or the dark areas, when you're struggling to sell or to get the word out?
Well, I pray 5 times a day. That helps. My church home helps. Listening, to sermons helps. Unfortunately, due to coronavirus, my main way of therapy, one of the main ways, was to go play basketball, and I'm not able to do that. But the point of basketball in that context is to just get outside of my head, get outside of myself. It's not that serious. The world, the fate of the world is not riding on my shoulders. And to do things that make life mean more, going to, Presbyterian, Druid Hills Presbyterian, where I volunteer to feed homeless. Going to the Atlanta homeless shelter like I'm about to do next week and give away a bunch of clothes. The more I can make my life about other people, the easier it is to put what I'm doing in the proper context.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives me peace, that gives me joy. Donating, volunteering, praying, playing a sport, exercising, all ways to get outside of my own head and to move me away from being, self-important.
Although you're very important, and the message that you have is not only wanted, is definitely needed, and it has to be heard in your voice. What you said that you went to publishing houses and they declined, or you spoke to different people that would be helpful in getting your book out and they declined. How did you go about publishing this book?
Stop waiting for them.
Mm-hmm.
We're living in a beautiful time. Technology does a lot of harm. It also does a lot of good.
Mm-hmm.
I went out and I posted on social media sites, hey, I'm looking for somebody to design a cover of a book. I'm looking for somebody to do illustrations for a book. Reached out, look different avenues to explore getting it forward. I made it happen myself. I put it on Amazon myself. So this book I don't have a literary agent. I don't have a publisher. I did it myself. And once it sells 3,000 copies, 5,000, 10,000 copies, then all of a sudden I wouldn't be surprised if a publishing house came and said, hey, we know that you have a book that's doing really well. How would you like to partner? Oh, yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I was tired of waiting for them. 50 Shades of Grey, regardless of what people think about it, from a literary standpoint, it's an extremely successful book. She published it herself. It sold 50,000 copies. And then the industry said, oh, come here, come with us. And so, stories like that inspired me. I said, okay, nobody believes in my vision. I'm going to put this book together myself. I'm going to put it on Amazon myself. And then I'll show them my vision since they can't see it.
What's some advice that you would give those who are considering entrepreneurship?
There's no such thing as no. Put a T on the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not right now. Every time you hear a no, it's not a no. It's a not right now.
Mm-hmm.
The major publishing companies, I have faith, they will eventually reach out to me about this book. So they didn't tell me no. They told me not right now. And I had to go do it, and thank God, because it caused me to do it myself. So if somebody out there wants to open a restaurant, for example, and the bank tells them, no, we're not going to give you a loan to open that restaurant. It's too risky in this climate. Well, they didn't tell you no. They told you not right now. Start a food truck. Start selling what you would make in the restaurant out of your home and delivering it. Make the money, and that same bank will be looking to partner or advertise with you later. So it's a not right now. There's with the way technology is, with people being able to start their own podcasts, start their own websites, have a Facebook fan page. There's no excuse any longer for people to not start their own business, whatever that business may be. Because, as I said, whether it's selling food, making bookmarks, clothing, it can be set up online, and we don't need permission to do that.
Hey, listen, all I can say to that is amen. Because you've touched on, I authored a book, When the Bank Says No. You touched on that. I've also interviewed a young lady who was a baker, who is a baker, and she's, I mean, you touched on all of that. So you're absolutely right. um I always ask, are entrepreneurs born or made?
That's a good question. I always think it's nature and nurture.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was born an actor, but CalArts, people like Mirjana Jokovic and Fran Bennett, Denise Woods, my teachers made me an actor. I'm a big fan of middle ground. You read my book, so you know I use this term often, called the sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
I believe entrepreneurs are born, but they also need to be nurtured. There's, unfortunately, young Black and brown babies who were born entrepreneurs right now, and they're not being nurtured. But there is a spirit in them. There is an idea in them. And so it's our responsibility as a culture, as a society, to nurture those ideas, encourage those ideas, figure out avenues, platforms, vehicles for them to foster and create and produce those ideas and get those businesses going. I think that it does need to be nurtured out of us. But I do believe that there is something innate. The seed is what's born in somebody. But it needs to be cultivated.
In our last segment, Growing Our Tribe, we shout out another small Black-owned business, as well as a book that has helped us in growing our minds, which in turn grows our business.
My one that I really love is God is Dope.
Mm-hmm.
Black-owned business, young Black people doing their thing. Man, they've got a store over on Edgewood where they sell all kind of paraphernalia that says 3 words: God is dope. God is awesome. And it's really cool, hip, trendy, comfortable clothing. And if anybody's listening that's not in the Atlanta area, they have an online presence. I think it's worth it to support them and their message. I wish God is Dope would be as popular as Nike. Would be as popular as Louis Vuitton, because it's a Black-owned business with a simple but profound message.
I've seen a lot of the T-shirts. I think it is as big as Nike, or as far as their online presence, for sure, on my timeline.
Yeah, they have. It's starting to build, and I hope it gets even bigger. That's one that I would want to acknowledge and shout out. But I would also encourage people, especially right now and moving forward. Let's not make this a moment. Let's make it a movement.
Mm.
The next time somebody wants to go out, and this is for everybody, Black, white, as Q-Tip says, Black, white, brown, Puerto Rican, or Haitian. My name is Fife Dog from the Zulu Nation. Let me stop. The next time you want to go eat on a Friday night, just type in Google Black-owned restaurants. Because I see Black people in Olive Garden, Applebee's, Outback Steakhouse. We go to plenty of white-owned restaurants, and that's cool. Let's keep doing that. I love me some Outback. Bring that bread from Red Lobster. That's cool. But we need to be intentional about, hey, let's look at a simple Google, Black-owned restaurants. Go to, make a commitment. Every third time I go to a restaurant, it's going to be, a Black-owned restaurant. So 33% of the time it's going to be a restaurant owned by people of color. I think doing stuff like that is important. I think it's important to go to the Black Theater Company in your town. In Atlanta, we have one, Kenny Leon's True Colors. It's a Black-owned theater company that does Black plays. I think it's important to go see shows there. If you're in St. Louis, it's called the St. Louis Black Rep. Look at your city or town. What are the theater companies in your town that are Black-owned and doing Black shows for us, by us? And again, that message is for everybody, because we go to the white ones and we gladly go, and I'm gonna keep going. I love me a good Quentin Tarantino movie. Mm-hmm. I love me he's on my vision board. I love me a good Christopher Nolan movie. We go see the white movie. So this message is not. This message is intentionally for everyone to go see. Because to go see the. And if your city doesn't have one, doesn't have a black theater company, to start a petition. We need one, especially in I know some smaller cities, but especially in all the major cities, we need a black theater company. So go support those as well.
Listen, you're gonna start a whole new line of questioning. I'm trying to stay focused. Name a book that has helped you either grow your business or has helped you. Period.
Wow, there's a lot. I like Norman Vincent Peale's book, The Power of Positive Thinking, because I think for entrepreneurs, artists, it is critical and it is extremely difficult to remain positive because their hardships, they will come. And his book really put into, it really talked about how to stay positive. I got to give a shout out to the late, great Kobe Bryant and his book, Mamba Mentality, because I think Mamba Mentality can be applied to being an entrepreneur. It can be applied to everything. And I love that mentality, and I use that approach to my work and when I'm creating content, when I'm auditioning, whatever the case may be. Kobe Bryant, man, God bless the dead, God bless the legend. That's a great book for people who are interested in entrepreneurship to check out. His book, Mamba Mentality. I would say for men, we talked about this earlier, there's a great book by Daniel Coleman called Emotional Intelligence, and women. I would say, I have to say, since it was in on the conversation, How to Win Friends and Influence People is a great book for entrepreneurs. Don't let the title fool you. Just like it here, don't let the title. It's actually about how to be generous and caring and be selfless. That's a great book for entrepreneurs. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and I would also say, for those of you who are interested in the dating world, specifically, I know I'm switching a little bit, but switching the question a little bit, but Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, The 5 Love Languages, Single But Dating, and Modern Romance are great books to read, because I'm not one of those people that declares I have the be all to end all. My book, I believe, is great. I'm confident in it. I think it can help anybody who's willing to read it. But I also think there's some people, other people who've got some great stuff to say about relationships as well. So if you're going down a rabbit hole where you're reading relationship books, those are some good ones as well.
You've named some wonderful books by wonderful people. I've read a few of those as well, and I'm so very happy to have read your book and to come across you. So let everybody know where they can find Evan Cleaver and keep up with what you have going on.
My Instagram page is, oh, sorry, I got too loud. My Instagram page is my name, at Evan Cleaver, EVANCLEAVER. All of my, as well as my Twitter. So anytime I'm doing something with film and TV or my book, it's up there. It's on my Instagram. It's on my Twitter. That's the best way to stay in touch with me and find out what I'm up to.
So look up Evan Cleaver on Amazon, How to Make Sure He Will Be Into You. Also, you can see him in The Baker and The Beauty, the ABC series. Thank you again, Evan, for being on our show, being on our platform, sharing your thoughts and your views. I'm sure that it's helpful not only to the women that are listening who are dating and seeking love, but also the men, as well as up and coming actors, and letting them know that getting into stage plays and can catapult their career into TV and film, and learning how to right as well. That can be beneficial for their career too, being multifaceted. So again, thank you for sharing with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
This has been another episode of Shawn Henry's Becoming with me, your host, Shawn Henry. If you've gotten anything out of this conversation, please let us know in the comments or by going to ShunHenry'sBecoming and leave a review. We appreciate the time you took to listen and value your feedback. We are always looking for entrepreneurs to spotlight. If you would like us to spotlight you and your business, go to ShunHenry'sBecoming and click the link Be My Guest. Remember to tune in every Saturday as we continue to spotlight entrepreneurs during their bumpy but fulfilling ride to success on their own terms.